Hello and welcome to this breakdown on the sixth round of Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia. A little disclaimer, I'll mainly be focusing on Errol Spence for this video, and I'll probably split this video into shorter parts depending on how long it is. Okay, so let's start the round. Okay, so round 6, and we'll just watch the first 15 seconds and then I'll break it down. Okay, so already quite a lot to say. So the first thing Errol's going to do, he's going to meet Danny Garcia in the center of the ring, but he's already aware that Danny Garcia wants to jab, and the first thing he's going to do is pick up his gloves, defend the jab, and counter with his own one back. So now he's well established in the center of the ring, because Danny Garcia had to go to the left to throw a jab anyway. And Danny Garcia is going to start stepping back, but he's going to do this short duck, Danny Garcia, which could be read as a counter in Errol's eyes. So Errol shows up very quickly. He sees that and he starts coming forward. So if you look at Errol while he's coming forward, he always has his gloves well high near his temples. Well, exactly on his temples, you could say. And because it's not passive, he's got a little rhythm to it. It is quite intimidating when you're on the back foot, because you know that you're not going to be able to just unload whenever you want. So that's quite good from Errol. Another thing is this shuffle here. He doesn't close too much distance and keeps his range quite well. So this is all simple basics Errol does well. Once he sees Danny Garcia go to his right, he's going to cut him off, but close a bit too much distance here. Danny Garcia is going to go to his right. Errol's going to pick his lead foot up and go over to his left. Closes quite a bit of distance. And he's about to come forward when he sees this feint here from Danny Garcia, which could be read as a punch. So Errol's going to take 2 jabs back. 1, 2, going back. And then he's going to bounce out of range and get himself out of there before Danny can unload. So that's a good use of sort of directional jabs to control where you want the fight. Anyway, Danny Garcia's got a lot of space here, so he's going to reset and start to get on the move. You see Errol doesn't really give him much time to breathe even after he gets out of range. Comes forward, keeps his lead hand very high, gives him something to throw out, gives Danny Garcia something to throw out. So he's defensively responsible while coming forward. Okay, so here's a little mistake that Errol actually makes quite often from what I've seen in his other fights. He's going to come forward, jab, jab again, and then come into Danny Garcia's range whilst cutting off the ring. So whilst he's in the air, you see this jab here that Danny Garcia defends. Errol's going to see him move to his left, so he's going to follow him with this shuffle. But as you can see, both of his feet are in the air right now, and he's going to get caught by this right hand in the middle of it. So that's a little mistake. He tends to come a bit too close when cutting off the ring. But you could say he transitions well to defense right here, since as you can see, Danny's not in the best position to unload either, and here Errol's quite open, but you see his lead hand is in a perfect position. This obviously isn't. His feet obviously aren't great because he got caught in the middle. But then he's going to directly get back into his base, lower that torso, keep the lead hand up, and although Danny Garcia is feinting well with the right hand, which means that Errol's rear hand is actually trying to parry it or block it, he is stepping out of range at the same time, which is helping Danny Garcia not get the distance he needs to land that right hook, which, as you can see, would have probably landed quite well on Errol. So, okay, so let's watch the next 15 seconds. So here we're going to see quite a few setups from Errol. He's going to start off, he's going to take a step forward, lead hand high like always. And what he does is he doesn't let Danny Garcia keep his distance with a jab back. You see Danny Garcia is going to shoot a jab out. Errol's immediately going to catch it on his glove and counter with his own jab. Now, a setup that Errol likes to use to throw his left hand is actually off this counter. He'll jab, and if you look at his feet, he'll shuffle forward while keeping his left hand out and then throw a left hand. So here, shuffle, keep his left hand out, lead hand out, sorry, and then throw this body shot. He was a bit out of range when he first started the counter, so he does get caught by this right hook, which Danny Garcia, well, he is known as a good counter puncher, so there you go. That's luckily it doesn't land too cleanly on Errol. But then you see Errol transition to defense immediately. Danny Garcia goes through a right hook to the body. Errol shells up very, very nicely. Again, I'm paying attention to his guard. It's just it's very compact, plus he's using his feet to get out of range. And you see that little shuffle back. That's an example of good footwork. To be a pressure fighter, there's nothing wrong with taking a step back, by the way. It's a common, I'd say, misconception that, oh yeah, you shouldn't take a step back if you're trying to pressure and stuff like that. But, oh, I mean, I've heard coaches say that, and I really don't agree. You see Errol, again, taking a step back with his jab, and then whilst Danny Garcia is moving to his left, continuing to jab with the glove and bother him. Saw a tweet from Shakur Stevenson saying Errol's got that annoying jab, it just bothers his opponent because it's so constant, and it's so true. You see Danny Garcia is trying to sort of reset, go to his left, get out of range, but it's still in his face and it's still bothering him. Anyway, we're going to see pretty much the exact same sequence again. This time Errol's going to do it a bit better though. He's going to see the jab coming out. Danny Garcia is trying to take a backward jab, catches it on the glove, jabs, shuffles while keeping his lead hand out, if you see here, and this time his foot's on the outside. I'm not sure if it was before, but his head position is a bit better. And the timing when it's like this is so off because you're usually taught to sort of step into an overhand left or a left-hand shot or something like that when using your rear hand. But here, because of the shuffle and because of the delay after the first jab, it's such an awkward timing that it lands very, very well. Well, usually here it didn't land the cleanest shot, but it was he used it a lot versus Mikey Garcia and it worked. Anyway, here he's a bit closer, so that right hook counter is actually going to avoid Errol as he ducks under, and Errol's going to stay here, not the best position, try go for a body shot which is a bit low, and then Garcia is just going to clinch up and hold. Okay, so after this little warning from the ref, we'll watch these next few seconds. Okay, so this is more Errol's jabbing than anything else because we get a little bit blocked from the ref. But okay, so Errol's going to start by getting back to the center of the ring with his high guard. Sees this jab, counters it immediately. Boom. Comes forward again. Right now he's in the air. If you can see, he actually took a shuffle step, so that's why I think he showed up immediately instead of countering, because he's in the air here. Sees the jab. He isn't in a position to counter, so he's just going to shell up. Sees the right hand sort of option for Danny Garcia as well, so he shows up, shuffles back, and gets back on his pressuring system, you could say. Comes forward, sees the jab again, counters it immediately. Here we're going to get blocked by the ref, which is a bit annoying, but we can see exactly what Errol's doing, which is interesting. He's going to back Danny Garcia up with about 4 jabs. So that was 1, 2, 3, and then here he is, 4, and then goes to the left hand. So that's 4 jabs. I don't see that much. I'll be honest. Not because it's unpopular, but just because it's not the easiest thing to do if you don't have a very long jab like Errol's, you could say. So yeah, so he backs him up against the ropes, tries to land this left hand. I can't see if it lands. And then one thing he's going to do, which is quite interesting, is actually just go over slightly to his left, which is going to center him in front of Danny Garcia. Can't see what's happening here, so Danny Garcia is going to reset. Errol shuffles along to his right to follow him, this time less close than the last time when he got caught. Danny Garcia is going to jab at him. I was going to step back with his lead hand. As you can see, it's not a parry or a catch, it's just raise his guard, step out of range, which is most of Errol's defense, I'll be honest, but it is quite effective, clearly. So stays in front of him again, counters this one as Danny Garcia tries to move off to his left. Okay, so here we'll watch the next few seconds, and we're going to study this inside work from Errol, which is really good. So after countering his jab, you're going to see that their foots get a bit tangled up. Errol's going to step over while shelling up, as you can see from Danny Garcia's right hook. He's going to keep that shoulder engaged to his head, so it's very smothered, you could say, and sort of step around him whilst keeping his left hand on Danny Garcia's right, his head's on Danny Garcia's right. So what does this mean? It means that Danny Garcia's whole right side, you could say, is sort of blocked off until he creates any space. It doesn't help that Errol's quite square on, so Danny Garcia's left hand isn't going to do much work here either. And Errol's already thinking of his shots, as you can see, because he goes in this square position. He's not in the best position to punch, but he'll go for a right hook, or sort of like a right uppercut to the body. Then as soon as Danny Garcia's right hand is free to punch, Errol's going to smother him immediately with his 2 gloves on his chest, push him off a slight bit, get back into his base, go for a left hand to the body, boom, comes back into his range. Danny Garcia is straight up right now. Errol's in a much better position to punch, especially punch hard. He'll go for a left hook to the head and change his head position now. This is all very quick, but it's more in Errol's mind, I suppose. He's just going off of push, throw, and then so he gets on this side, goes for a left hand to the body whilst going backwards. Danny Garcia actually defends this quite well. You can see his gloves on Errol's shoulder, so he keeps a bit of space, so he's going to try counter with his own shot. Errol pivots out of the way, keeps his forearm and his glove in his face, jab, left hand, which I'm not sure if it lands cleanly, but there you go. We'll just watch that sequence again, because it's quite nice to see in fast. He pivots, boom, 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 steps forward again, catches the jab on his glove, and jab to the side.